you're experiencing a mental health episode. We don't want to have to see that. But we...
Yes! Yes, I don't want to have to interact with someone who I don't know, who's scary, having a fucking mental health episode. That's dangerous for everyone involved, Emma. This isn't a fucking nuclear take. Yes, I've spent my life, Emma, constructing it in a way that I don't want to have to interact with someone who I don't know having a fucking schizophrenic breakdown. This is just total bull. Oh, people should just have to put up with it. Just put up with it. Just put up with crazy people. No, you.
And I'll just say this really quick as well, quickly. I was hit at one point sitting on the subway by a man who was having a mental health episode. He sat next to me and he was elbowing and kind of flailing around and hit me in the face and in my body. And it was jarring, right? The idea that I would want him to be hurt in any way, I just didn't want to be near him in that moment because I understood something was going on here. Every one of us who's taken public transit has had this kind of situation, something similar happen, seeing someone struggling. That doesn't mean that our fear in that instance, and I was a little scared because I was hit.
It's a problem. Like, it's people that need help.
But like, my fear is not the primary object of like what we should be focusing on right now. It's the fact that this person is in pain. And so like the politics.
And listen, if the person is in pain, okay, and then they make you in pain, it's just, they're just sharing. It's just an equitable distribution of pain, right?
This is total Stockholm syndrome, man. This is like insane talk here.
It's totally fine. Listen, sometimes we live in a society where you gotta let a homeless man kind of like punch you in the tit.
Yeah.
You just gotta put up with it.
This is such bullshit. Like, I don't know that I buy this story, and it's totally reeks of, look, I've been assaulted, you know, just suck it up and be assaulted. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
You want to get assaulted? You go fucking get assaulted, okay? That doesn't mean other people need to live by that standard, and fuck you for trying to force it on other people. I mean, that's just bullshit. It's total bullshit.
Yep.
Look, you want to be a victim? Look, you're in a cult that idolizes victims, okay? I could say that you're, you know, trying to be a victim just to increase your status here. Look, a homeless guy comes up and punches you in the face. Now all of a sudden, you're getting a promotion at work. Most people don't live in that cult. They don't want to get assaulted.
No, you have to share the pain. Listen, it's not when some guy comes up and he punches you in the face. It's not about you.
Right.
Now, if a white person does a racism on a black person,
right, a microaggression, for heaven's sakes, or doesn't use someone's proper pronouns, oh, yeah, that person should be thrown in prison.
Yeah, why doesn't Emma say, listen, if a white person did a microaggression against you, it's not about you, okay? It's about them. They're going through a mental health crisis when they said, when they called you the N-word.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, would she feel the same if he was wearing a Make America Great Again hat, or was a Trump voter?
Well, Matt, what if the guy was a white homeless man and he was screaming the N-word at a black person?
Right.
Right. Would Emma suddenly have this like super enlightened view about the whole situation? What if the homeless man that was like elbowing Emma wasn't just elbowing her, but like started, you know, grabbing her tit? She's gonna be like, oh well, you know, it's not about me. He's having a mental health crisis.
No, of course not.
Like, this is so dumb.
Everything would be different then.
Of course.
Be a completely different situation, Sitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he still shouldn't have been killed.
Look, nobody believes he should have been killed anyway, so it's completely irrelevant.
I know, but that's my problem.
Even Daniel Penny. Nobody wanted to kill him.
No. She kind of insinuates that she thinks that.
Oh yeah, that's what they did with Kyle Rittenhouse. Look, he was looking for trouble. He was there.
He was, you know, wanted to kill somebody. Yeah, she kind of insinuates that in the next video we're gonna watch.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
They took this from our show. I guess I was surprised that this caught traction, but it was within like 15 minutes of conversation we had on this topic. And they picked this one part out, and I have my theories on why. The post-millennial, I think another account's put it up.
It's being normalized. And again, it makes you a good person to accept it. So, for example, there's a woman named Emma Vigeland. She's on the Majority Report, I guess. And she had a clip going.
What's the matter with that? I mean, her name is Vigeland, right?
I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to say her name.
Vigeland?
Who knows?
Viral today, talking about how if you want to feel safe on public transit, this is bourgeois. And you have to suppress those bourgeois feelings. You have to make yourself feel okay about being abused on the public transportation system.
I was hit at one point sitting on the subway by a man who was having a mental health episode. He sat next to me and he was elbowing and kind of flailing around and hit me in the face and in my body. And it was jarring, right? The idea that I would want him to be hurt in any way, I just didn't want to be near him in that moment because I understood something was going on here. But like my fear is not the primary object of like what we should be focusing on right now. It's the fact that this person is in pain. And so like the politics of dehumanization privileges the bourgeois kind of concern of people's like immediate discomfort in this narrow instance, as opposed to larger humanity and life. It's really freaking twisted.
Being beat up, being physically abused is now being part of the larger spectrum of humanity. Isn't that wonderful?
Pause.
You are expecting.
Now, first off, I mean, I don't want to speak for you on this, obviously, but clearly what you're setting up there is the way that everybody's talking about we need to be able to feel safe on the subway. Mm-hmm. Who's the we?
Yeah.
Because if you can be summarily executed because A, you have a criminal record that nobody knows about, or B, you're having a mental episode and an emotional episode and you're just making other people feel uncomfortable. No one was hit.
You're literally threatening them, though.
Yes.
It's more than just making people uncomfortable.
Yes.
The thing that's making them uncomfortable is you're threatening bodily harm to them. It's just so stupid that he's leaving that out.
Well, here's a question. If he had dropped his pants and said, "I'm going to rape you bitches," right? I mean, that would make you feel uncomfortable, right?
Oh, my God.
I mean, is it okay? Is the force okay at that point?
Do you think really? Right? I mean, Penny, he's a saint if he does what he does.
I mean, I wouldn't want to touch him at that point, yeah. You might start using strikes instead of grapples at that point because you don't want to get that close.
Look, I don't. That's a hypothetical.
I mean, it made you feel uncomfortable.
You bringing up the hypotheticals what made me feel uncomfortable.
Well, but again, they're acting like it's so, and I don't know if Sam is really just this dumb or this is all part of the performance. They're acting like the situation was Neely said what he was going to say, what he said, and then Penny came up with a gun and just shot him and killed him. Right.
That would be
which I would agree. That would
obviously.
I would not agree with that. Yeah. I would think, wow, that's not a proper use of force. Right?
That's fucked up.
Yes, that didn't happen. Okay, what happened was he said what he said, and then they tried to restrain him, and then he kept fighting them, and then in the restraining process, he ended up dying.
Right.
Okay? But they keep leaving out that very crucial difference.
Yeah, very crucial.
As far as we know from every public statement by anybody at this point, even the statement by the killer, the lawyer put out, does not claim that Neely was physically assaulting anybody. He was aggressively threatening, although it's also unclear that he was actually threatening anybody. He was just acting in a way that was scary.
And that was the point I was making, which is that we as New Yorkers, the larger context was like, we've all had these kinds of interactions on the subway where someone is having a sort of episode.
This is so disingenuous, Sitch.
I know.
Like if the guy was flailing around next to Emma, the guy didn't sit down and go, bitch, I hate you, and I don't care if I'm going to go back to jail. Like, she The guy didn't come in and threaten Emma physically, personally. It's a completely different situation.
Right.
I guess she would just say, "Oh, well, that's no big deal too." I don't know. I think she's lying. I think she would think that was a big deal.
And I believe I gave an example of someone having an episode sitting next to me where I was physically hit briefly, and I moved away from that person. That made me uncomfortable. The context that Ben cut out there was that I don't believe that person should be executed for what happened there.
They played it.
Don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Let me bring this up. What is the difference between manslaughter and murder in New York's penal code? New York's penal code defines second-degree murder as causing the death of the person with intent to cause a death of another person. Okay?
Right.
So New York, murder is you intend to cause the death, which is essentially what they keep describing this as.
Right.
They keep describing this as he intended to cause death. Manslaughter, second-degree manslaughter. Well, actually, here's first-degree manslaughter in New York says requires you were trying to hurt the person that died. Okay.
Right.
So intention to hurt.
That doesn't even count.
That doesn't even apply. That's why
he wasn't trying to hurt him.
Right. Second-degree manslaughter merely requires that you acted recklessly somehow, and that recklessness led to another person's death. So even the court and the judicial system that's prosecuting Penning, which I don't think they should, doesn't even agree with this dog shit analysis that Sam and Emma keep putting forward when they describe the situation.
Right. They're adding intent.
Yes, they keep skirting around adding intent, but they're acting like there was intent because they keep saying he didn't deserve to die for the actions, right? So like, here's a very easy hypothetical. Okay, imagine that Neely punched someone in the face. Okay,
right.
And you say, well, should he be killed immediately for punching someone in the face? Right? Should you just fucking execute him, Judge Dredds? Should a cop just execute him immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you punched someone in the face?
Of course
you
not.
Say,
obviously.
No, right,
yeah.
right. Okay. But what if he punches someone in the face and then you punch him in the face and then, he falls and hits his head and dies, right? Well, does Emma get to sit here and say, why did you kill him? He just punched someone in the face?
Yes, they would.
Like, well,
they
no,
would say
I
that.
literally used the same amount of force he used on someone else, but then he died. And that wasn't I didn't intend for him to die when I punched him in the fucking face.
These people are just so bad faith. They would literally say, well, because he died, then obviously you killed him.
Right. Right. Or what if, you can even take it simpler. What if, he's just shouting and scaring people and then you scare him and he has a heart attack and dies, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, you're like, this is such a dumb,
manslaughter.
This analysis of the situation that they're giving, it has to be intentional. I don't think they're stupid. Yeah, I don't think they're stupid. They understand the step-by-step legal process and step-by-step thing that's happening here.
I disagree. I think they are the stupid.
Okay, maybe. But it's just like, come on.
They're not paying attention to the details because they don't look. They only see it in white guy murdered black guy on subway. Like that's that's where their
elephant. Their elephant was white guy murdered black homeless guy. How do I justify this?
Yeah, that's exactly what's like. Their whole job is to rationalize that narrative.
Right.
Like all they see is that narrative, and their job is to convince you that that narrative is the facts. And in order to do that, they have to take out all of the context and add in a bunch of other context that isn't even true.
Right.
And now they're adding in the time that Emma was on the subway once and a homeless guy brushed up against her and she was uncomfortable and moved seats. Right?
Right.
Now that's part of the conversation here, which is it's just silly.
Well, and there's no way, unless they get some super bullshit woke jury or something. I mean, if all the witnesses on the train say that they felt this was justified and they were happy it was happening, and none of them thought that he died or was going to die, that completely annihilates. Like he couldn't have been committing a reckless act if everyone who witnessed it didn't think it was a reckless act.
Yeah. What is the person standard? The
Reasonable
person standard?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone on the train is basically a reasonable person. Nobody's jumping in.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one guy who said, you better watch out. You don't want to catch a murder charge.
Yeah, but then as soon as he said it, I think that's when they stopped.
Right.
And they put him in there. And the fact that's the other thing they always leave out. Because remember, part of the issue that really got Chauvin in trouble was the length of time and the fact that he wasn't checking, and the fact that it seemed like he wasn't really keeping his eye on the situation, even when someone asked him, like, hey, should we put him in a recovery position?
Right.
But with Penny, it was literally and everyone brought that up. They would always bring that up. He put his knee in his neck and he didn't care he stopped moving. He didn't care he stopped breathing. Like, that was a talking point that we heard again and again and again and again and again with
Right.
Chauvin.
Great point.
But then with this, you have literally the guy does the right thing, where the guy, when he seems to stop moving, they immediately stop what they're doing and they put him in the recovery position.
Yeah.
And they probably only knew to do that literally because of fucking the Chauvin trial, I would imagine. Because how many people know about like the whole recovery position thing?
Well, I'm sure they know about it in the Marines, obviously.
Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just saying, I feel like that's now like a more common knowledge thing because of the whole not Michael Brown, the whole Chauvin situation. But Floyd situation.
Because they didn't put Floyd in the recovery position. That's why he died.
Well, that's a theory.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't know the situation, right? But no, but so here's the guy. They do everything right, and instead of, they just don't talk about it. They don't give him any points for it. They don't say, well, obviously he wasn't his intention to kill this person, right? Or obviously it was a mistake, or obviously it was an accident, blah, 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 blah. They don't give him any points for doing this whatsoever. Again, penalizing someone for doing the right thing.
Yeah, he's
Gross.
not allowed. He's not allowed to have the right
Right.
opinion.
Necessarily context.
Don't even need that context in there. Like, it's quite clear. Like, even the way that they cut that, it still makes the point that when we say we deserve a safe subway, who is the we? They're saying it's the guy who killed the guy, not the guy who died.
Right, like when Ben Shapiro says you have to be, when he's like mimicking you saying you have to be a good person to accept it. No, Ben Shapiro saying we have to be the good people to accept that certain people are going to use vigilante violence and take somebody's life on the subway. But we aren't the side, like this side that we're the ones that want to accept this. No, like Emma wants major political economy changes that deal with so less of this happens. They want to defend the status quo that continues to break people like this to the point where they act out in public spaces.
And then the response
what happens.
of people summarily executing them.
So when they talk about we just want to be safe on the subway, the reason I used the framing that I did is because there was one person who was very unsafe during that ride, and that person was Jordan Neely because he was killed. And it's who's the we in this situation, to kind of reiterate Sam's point.
So if a person walks onto a subway or walks into any situation,
Yeah, I love this.
and they have a gun, and they
Right.
say, "Give me all your money," right?
Yep.
And then someone else pulls out a gun and shoots them in the back of the head.
Right.
And then Emma's here like, well, really, the person who died was the one in the unsafe situation.
I know, it's crazy. It's like you're robbing a fucking bank. What did you expect was going to happen, you moron?
Right. It's like, well, Jordan Neely created an unsafe situation, Emma. I mean, you're not really appreciating that at all. Like, he wasn't in an unsafe situation until he made it an unsafe
he got
situation. Yes, he made the situation unsafe by his actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was literally a safe situation until Jordan Neely pulled into town.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a question. Under these people's framework and logic, does Kanye get a free pass on his anti-Semitism because he was in the midst of a bipolar episode?
Probably not.
I mean,
but-
it's a mental health issue, right?
Yeah, I think we're willing to give Kanye more of the benefit of the doubt than them.
I'm not
So
really. It's good.
you're like,
Anything.
I'm past that now.
I'll pass. I mean, he's not anti-Semitic anymore. He's been saved by Jonah
Look,
Hill.
Jonah
obviously.
Hill cleaned him up, so.
That's right.
They want our transit systems to be free of undesirables, and that means if you're poor, if you're black, if you're homeless, and if you're
They don't want black people on the subway. You heard it here first.
Did you really just say that way?
What?
Our transit systems to be free of undesirables, and that means if you're poor, if you're black, if you're homeless.
Jesus Christ!
I know.
Oh my God, she's so bad. She's so awful.
How's that for a level of stupidity? New York City subway, whites only.
You know that black guy that was helping subdue?
Oh, I
Neely?
know.
He was like,
I
"Listen, we gotta get
know.
all these blacks off the train." Oh my God!
Look, and Sam Cedar's so just out of it. He's just sitting there. He doesn't even realize what's happened.
I feel like he just tunes out whenever I starts talking.
That's probably the smart thing to do.
You're experiencing a mental health episode. We don't want to have to see that. But we
Yes, I don't want to have to interact with someone who I don't know, who's scary, having a fucking mental health episode. That's dangerous for everyone involved, Emma. This isn't a fucking nuclear tank. Why the fuck should I have to interact with someone who's in the midst of a fucking mental health crisis, who has schizophrenia, who's a crazy person? Why do I have to deal with this?
Sitch, it's just, look, the subway is the new mental institute, okay? You go in and you just have to deal with it.
You know, I don't know about you, Adam, but I don't work at a psych ward.
Right.
Okay.
For a reason.
I don't work...
We don't want to be around crazy people.
Exactly. And I don't work at a prison.
Right. Right.
Because I don't want to have to deal with this fucking shit. Yes, I've spent my life, Emma, constructing it in a way that I don't want to have to interact with someone who I don't know having a fucking schizophrenic breakdown. Yes, I have constructed my life in that way. Yes, I don't want to interact with that. Exactly. And you, who are on the left, who are always whining that not enough people use public transportation because you're like, we need to cut down on the number of cars that people use.
Climate change.
Right, because of climate change. Well, you know what's a way to get everyone to drive a fucking car? To not clean up public transportation!
Yep.
If public transportation was clean and it was safe and there wasn't fucking crazy people wandering around, more people would fucking use it, Emma! Get your head out of your ass! This is just total bullshit! Oh, people should just have to put up with it. Just put up with it! Just put up with fucking crazy people! No! Fuck you!
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.